In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. Oh my god, what is this? Jake Link's face. Alright, guys, I know I'm gonna have to reiterate myself here as I erase Jake's face, but the Canadians must tank. They must tank. It is a necessity, and I'm gonna explain why next. Boom. Oh my god, sorry. That was very loud. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Habsnation Podcast. Yeah, the title up there, that's the wrong title. I'll be changing it in a second. I'm being proactive here. I'm conducting a show that I've come completely unprepared for, but that's okay because we are here and we are happy to be here. Okay, so like I started off, we're going to be talking a little bit about the Canadiens, their tanking situation. I really wanted to get started on the whole Tartar deal because I don't know if you guys heard the show that we conducted on Friday, but I have some strong feelings toward Thomas Tartar and what's going on over there with Thomas Tartar. And also, we are going to be talking about, actually, I'm going to start with this. You guys may see, you may notice that I'm a little down. Obviously, we've all heard the news about Kobe Bryant, and I just wanted to send out my well wishes, and I wanted to send my condolences to him and his family. I mean, it is just heartbreaking. Someone who's 41 years old, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know Kobe Bryant. I've never watched a basketball game in my life. And I don't know if he was a good person. I don't know if he's a bad person. I don't know why the helicopter crashed. But I can tell you is that 41 is too soon, guys. It is way too soon. And maybe worst of all is that he was in the helicopter with his daughter who's 13. And it is absolutely a tragedy. I think it's the biggest tragedy I've heard in the past 10 years. And I don't think I'm even doing an exaggeration here. So before we get started with the show, I just wanted to put that out there. Never good news. Never good news. But moving on from that, I guess there's no easy segue. But I do see that Shazam is in the chat. He says we're alone here. Hey, that doesn't matter, buddy. I'm still going to conduct the show. You are the most welcome. He says hi. Okay, so the show today, as I said, we're going to talk about Tartar. This guy. Thomas Tartar. If you follow him on Instagram, you might see that right now he's on vacation. It seems like some sort of an island. The water is really blue. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I was always someone who loved the water, who loved the ocean. Okay, I loved going it. There was only one problem. I have this crippling fear of sharks. Okay, and it's a phobia. I will not dip my toe in the water. Because when I was really young, my parents showed me Jaws, and hey, now I'm scarred. Anyway, so Thomas Tartar, he's having a great season. He's having more of a great season. He's having an excellent season. Okay? I want value. I'm not going to lie. I want value. I want an asset out of him. Because I'll tell you why. As if right now, and I apologize because I'm sounding like a humongous broken record, but I'm just going to have to say it again. The Canadiens have a 3.4 chance of making the playoffs in terms of percentage, okay? After their bye week, I think that it actually decreased a little bit. And you know, I watched Scotty 2 Hockey's video. Scotty 2's a friend of mine, and I absolutely loved him, and I loved his video. But I think you can like someone's video and still disagree with it. That was one instance where I disagreed with his video because he's sort of an optimistic fan, if I might say so myself, okay? He's very optimistic, and I'm on the other side. I'm a little bit more pessimistic, and I think as a fan base, we all want what's good for the team. I think if you ask us if we could press a button and the Canadiens in the playoffs, all fans would press that button. If not, they're not fans, right? So we all want what's good for the team, but we also have to look at what's realistic for the team. While we all want the great story, hey, the Canadiens, they're the comeback team, they're going to make the playoffs, let's face reality. 3.4% chance? I mean, that's nothing. They say usually, well, there's two expressions in hockey, or I don't know what the word is, but they say by American Thanksgiving, if you're out of the playoffs, that's usually how it goes down by the end of the year. The second expression they use, or the timestamp, is that by the All-Star game break, if you are double digits out of the playoffs, then that is bad news. I think in recent memory, the last team to get in double digits, when they were behind double digits, I think it was the Flyers, way back when. Or no, it was the Senators, exactly. The Senators, that year where they had that crazy run, they were double digits out of the playoffs, okay? And they made this huge comeback. The Hamburglar, remember him? The guy who got free McDonald's? They made a humongous comeback, and they made a decent little playoff run there. But I'm saying this, it's not the rule. It's the exception. Okay, this is the exception. Are we going to put all our stocks, all our eggs in one basket over exceptions? No. We have to look at it. We have to cut our losses, and we have to say, okay, the Canadiens, they're not making the playoffs, so what do we do from now? Trade Tatar. The three T's, tank and trade Tatar. All right. In the chat, Shazam says, strange that basketball is Canadian, and it's more popular in the States. That's true, but I'll be honest, I like hockey so much. I watched a few football games. I've never really watched a basketball game. Definitely not in its entirety, I can tell you that. Jordan Cannell, hey, long time no seen. He says, Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know. Shazam says, I'm scared of the Sharks too. Don't worry. And right now, I'm scared of both the actual Sharks and the San Jose Sharks because they're making a decent effort to get that number one pick. Shazam says, package deal. He says, Tatar and Kovalchuk. And he also says, not the Blues last year. You know, as bad as the Blues were, I don't think they were double digits out of the playoffs. Double digits out of the playoffs come the All-Star break. I know they were the last team in January, but by the time the All-Star break came in, which is, pretty much beginning February and January, I don't think they were double digits. I get that from Pierre. I got that information from Pierre Maguire on TSN radio. So if I'm wrong, he's wrong. I'm quoting him. He said the last team to do it was the Ottawa Senators that year. I think it was 2016 where they made that crazy playoff run. So that's that. And another thing, guys, before I get into a little bit more about Tartar and where I think is the decent trade target, another thing I wanted to add is the Canadiens right now, the odds of getting Lafreniere, it's very slim. I hear that a lot. The odds of getting Lafreniere, it's slim to none. You're going to have to go on this crazy, 15-game losing streak. I hear that a lot. And I'm here to tell you, you know what? First of all, at this point, it's easier to tank for Lafreniere than it is to make it to the wild card spot. Okay, so I'm just putting that out there. But second of all, if you don't get Lafreniere, if you don't get Byfield, who's expected to go second, if you don't get the third pick, so on and so forth, then take the next best one. Take the best pick you can muster. Especially this draft, where they say picks 3 to 8, they're pretty much all equal. There's going to be a lot of flip-flops depending whose mock draft you look at. Just get the best pick you can. This is a probability statistic-based mechanism. You finish lower, you have a higher percentage of the first pick, and then the second and the third and the fourth. Okay? What's the goal of making an ill-advised push to the playoffs? And all that's going to do is hurt your playoff chance. Yeah, I agree. The 6th pick isn't as good as the first pick, who is Lafreniere. We completely agree. But what I can tell you is that the 6th pick, it's better than the 15th, it's better than the 14th, and it's better than the 13th. I was watching the other day. One thing I really like to do is go back on YouTube and search some players when they got drafted, because I like to hear who they compare him to, or who they compared him to when he was drafted, and what they were thinking of him when he first got drafted. And one player I looked up today, it was Matthew Tkachuk. Tkachuk, for all of his faults, I know he's very controversial. He's one of those players that you would hate to play against, but you would love to have him on your team. He got drafted, do you know what position? Sixth. Sixth overall. Both Vancouver and Edmonton passed on him. Okay? Pretend the Calgary Flames, say they won an extra 2 games that year, and they end up drafting 7th or 8th. They just miss out on Matthew Tkachuk, who right now he's looking more and more like the face of that franchise. I get it. You're not going to draft first unless you win the lottery, but it's small probability. Jesus Christ. My computer's going crazy. What was that noise? Anyway, I apologize for that language. We get it. You might not draft first overall. But, hey, I'll take the next best. You know? Just don't make a push for the playoffs with a 3% chance and end up drafting 15th again. That just turns my stomach. And if Marc Bergevin, he really thinks that he can make a push here, and he really thinks his team is the miracle on ice here, think again. Think again. Apart from Lafreniere, is there anything good? Shazam says. Actually, yeah. Hold on. Let me just drink my, what is this, water? Flavored water. Alright. Give me a second. Okay. The reason why I just paused here, guys, is if you don't know, you can join the Sinbin official server on Discord. Just check out the link that's in the description. And if you want to call into the show, you might see this is the podcast one. This is the podcast channel. Just put your name in the waiting room and I'll hop you onto the podcast channel and you can call into the show. But anyway, to answer Shazam's question, is there any other good player except for Lafreniere? Absolutely. Abso-freaking-lutely. I think at this point, what the scouts are saying... Oh, and let me just give a disclaimer here. I don't know these prospects, okay? And here's a word to the wise here. The people you see on YouTube, the people that you might hear on the internet or whatever, Facebook, whatever it may be, they're not scouts, okay? They're not out there in Germany following Tim Stützle. They're not out there following Marco Rossi from Austria. They're not at scouts in the OHL. They're getting their information from their internet. So take it with a grain of salt for both them and both for myself. Because my opinion, it's educated somewhat because I'm getting it from other experts in the league. But at the same time, I didn't study these prospects in depth. But with all of that being said, I think the consensus is that Lafreniere is first. The second consensus is that Quinton Byfield is going second. Okay? I've seen a lot of people put him third, but for the most part, they're putting him second overall. Quinton Byfield is an amazing player. Okay? Both from what I read, from some of the stats, from the videos I've seen, and from watching the World Juniors. Quinton Byfield is an excellent player, and he could help the Canadiens tremendously. He's going to be a great consolation prize. An absolute great consolation prize. And that's why I think all of you guys against tanking, I get it. You guys might not, the Canadiens might not get the first pick. I completely understand. But hey, get the next best pick, the second or the third or the fourth. That's okay. Cordell, he says, rest in peace, and Areem says, what's up? Nice to see you, gentlemen. Apart from Byfield, who I think could help the Canadiens tremendously, both for the position he plays, who I think he's a centerman, but he can also play on the wing. He's a big kid. He's an absolute big kid. I know a lot of people were turned off by his World Juniors with Canada. He barely played, and the minutes that he did play were kind of horrible. But one thing you guys need to keep in mind, the World Juniors, it's not a 17-year-old tournament, and that was his age. He's a pretty young player. He was like Kotkaniemi when the Canadiens drafted him, 17 years old. It's not a 17-year-old tournament. It's more so for the 18, and more so than that, it's for the 19-year-olds. So yeah, that's what I think about that. Quinton Byfield could help the Canadiens tremendously. His speed, his size, his everything. It's something to drool if you're a Canadiens fan. Another one, and I'm going the complete opposite here because he's not a giant like Quinton Byfield. I actually think Byfield is 6'5" or something crazy like that, and he skates tremendously fluidly for a guy that side. He kind of reminds me of Svechnikov in what's it called, Carolina, and maybe I'm just saying that because they're probably going to get drafted the same position, but he reminds me a lot of Svechnikov. There we go. There's the background I needed. He reminds me a lot of Svechnikov, just like being that size and being that fluid, sort of a Malkin type too. But as I said, going the complete other way, another player that I think could help the Canadiens tremendously is Tim Stützle. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but that's okay if I'm not. By the way, I hate it when people say that. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Like, just say it and go with the flow. Anyway, Tim Stützle, he's a little kid from Germany. He's not big at all. And I know a criticism that people have, me included, is the Canadiens are small. I get that. But one thing that I put over drafting for size, is drafting the best player available. And I tell you one thing, I don't know how the draft is going to go down. Mark my word, Tim Stützle is getting drafted in the top 4. He is something to marvel at. He's a little magician. He absolutely is. I'm trying to find a comparable player. He's sort of a mix of Kucherov and more of like an explosive Kucherov. I mean, Kucherov's an amazing player, but he kind of has the ability to slow down the pace with his hands and his skill. Tim Stützle has that skill, but he's more explosive. I'm struggling to find a comparative off the back, but that's Tim Stützle. If the Canadiens can't get Byfield or Lafreniere, that's a really, really good one in my opinion. And then obviously, just to wrap up your question there, Shazam, there's the 2 Swedes. There's Alexander Holtz, and there's, oh God, his name is escaping me. Someone remind me of the second Swede, but there's Alexander Holtz, who he's supposed to have an amazing shot from what I hear. And one thing the Canadiens don't lack, one thing the Canadiens do lack is proper goal scoring. People who have that goal scoring instinct. And I think that definitely Alexander Holtz could bring that. Why am I forgetting the second Swede's name? Anyway, I'd probably butcher his name anyway. Especially if you're going to trade a guy like Tartar, make sure to fill in that void and get a proper goal scorer, because Thomas Tatar is a goal scoring type of player. Cordell says Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Yeah, absolutely, man. I started the show talking about that, and hey, it's absolute tragedy. And Areem says, what's up? So guys, if you have any type of questions, make sure to put it down in the chat. One target, I think it's the perfect situation here for the Canadiens, is that Jake Guntaz for the Penguins. He recently got injured. He's a winger, okay? He's a goal scorer. He's having his best season of his career before he went down with an injury. I truly believe the Penguins management, Mike Sullivan, they believe that the Penguins can make yet another push. Holy crap, are the Penguins good or are the Penguins good anyway? He believes that the Penguins can make yet another push for the playoffs. Okay, he's going to need to fill in that void for Jake Guentzel. Okay, they are going to pay, and I repeat this, they are willing to pay a premium to get a guy like Thomas Tatar. What are you going to do if you're Bergevin? Are you going to say, hey, no, I'm going to keep him, my team has a chance, a 3.4% chance? What kind of idiot are you? I bring up the Penguins here as an example, but in reality, there are some other teams. I was talking with Guy Boucher, the Avalanche. They have the cap space. They're willing to give tooth and nail for Thomas Tatar. Are you going to hold on to him? What planet are you from? Neptune? I'm telling you what, with a 3% chance to make the playoffs, if Bergevin holds on to the Kovalchuks, the Scandellas, the Tatars, I'll even throw Petrie in that boat. If you're going to hold on to all of them and they make the playoffs, I'm going to eat my hat. If the Canadiens make the playoffs, I am eating my hat. If they win the Stanley Cup, I'm eating something else. But I can't say that on the air. But I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest. Man, this is good. It's basically just water, and I squirt in flavor in it. I don't know what it's called, but one thing I can tell you, there was a guy in my high school. He was addicted to the squirt flavor, and he would just drink it on its own without water. And yeah, I'm completely surprised he doesn't have diabetes. But anyway, oh, this was hanging around too. Guys have questions, make sure to send them over. Send them in the chat. Oh, speaking of Matthew Tkachuk, did you guys see the meme of the Tkachuk controller? This is the Matthew Tkachuk Xbox controller. RB is for slash, LB is for elbow, the Y is for dive, B is for decline fight. X is talk shit, A is butt end, and the R joystick, it's skate away from fight. I've never played Xbox. I've always been more of a PlayStation guy. Man, The Last of Us, God of War, all of these exclusives, Spider-Man. I don't know why someone would go Xbox, but anyway, that was the Matthew Tkachuk controller. I just wanted to throw it out there. I know it's something a little bit more suited for the Friday show, but I just needed to throw it out there. Okay, what else can we talk about? Did you guys see... Hold on. Did you guys see the NHLPA, the NHL Players Association? They put out their mid-year, their mid-year awards, where they talk about like the best defenseman, the best defensive defenseman, the Hart Trophy midway through the year. I was supposed to talk about it on Friday too, but we obviously didn't get the time. Why don't we go through that here? I'm going to play a game with you guys. I'm going to put out the subject. You guys try to guess. 6 of yous in the chat. I want decent guesses. So, for the Hart Trophy, the player adjudged to be the most valuable to his team. Who do you think, the Players Association, who do you think they awarded it to which player? I don't think it's much of a competition, personally. Connor McDavid got the most votes. So according to the NHLPA, Connor McDavid is the Hart Trophy winner, the league MVP midway through the year. Second position was McKinnon. Third position was David Pastrnak, who was on an absolute tear. Oh my God, relating it back to the Canadiens. One thing that makes me want to punch myself in the kneecap. Do you guys know where Pastrnak was drafted? Okay, I'm not talking about like the city. I'm talking about the position in the draft. Do you know where he was located? Right above the Canadiens pick, who they picked, Nikita Sherbak. And I remember reading some articles where they said, hey, if they didn't take Pastrnak, the Bruins, the Canadiens would have jumped on it. But obviously, it's always easy to say that after the matter. But, oh my God, if you're a Canadiens fan like I am, holy moly. Holy moly. Imagine having Pastrnak on the team right now. What a player. He needs orthodontics, and those Dunkin' Donuts commercials suck. But holy crap, what a player. Cordell says, go to ban. I don't know what that means. Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Norris Trophy, the best defenseman. Number 1 goes to Carlson. Number 2 goes to Josie. Number 3 goes to Dougie Hamilton. Had a horrible injury, by the way. That is a blow. And again, relating it back to the Canadiens, they just lost the right-handed defenseman, Carolina Hurricanes. Dougie Hamilton went down on an injury. I didn't see it, but I know he had a lot of trouble getting up and whatnot. Do you think they're willing to overpay for Petrie? I think so. Areem says we picked McCarron and the next pick was Kreider. Yeah, for sure. Or no, I think that was actually LeBlanc. Areem. Let me make sure though. NHL Draft 2000. I believe that was 2009. But I do get your point. The point being that they fucked up completely. Let's see it. Montreal picked Louis LeBlanc, and then right under, the Rangers picked Chris Kreider. Wow. What a disaster. What a disaster. I know that Trevor Timmons, he gets a lot of blame, especially for that pick. I'm going to sit here and defend him because I don't think that was a Trevor Timmons decision. I don't. I think that was the higher-ups. Because if you guys recall the 2009 draft, that was in Montreal. And if you guys didn't know, this upcoming draft is going to be in Montreal. But with the draft in Montreal, the Canadiens, Louis LeBlanc, he was in that range. He was projected to go in that range. I wouldn't be surprised if the ownership was like, hey, we got to put on a show for our fans. We got to make them happy. We got to pick the hometown kid. And that was a complete disaster. Louis LeBlanc, I mean, he seems like a good guy. He's absolutely a smart human being. He went to Harvard. I mean, I know I didn't go to Harvard, I can tell you that much. He also has a pretty hot girlfriend. It's that tennis player, her name escapes me, but pretty hot girlfriend. Yeah, no, but as I was saying, Dougie Hamilton going down with that injury. The right-handed top defenseman for the Carolina Hurricanes. They believe in their chances. I tell you what, the teams in the NHL, they believe once you get in, whether it be the first position or whether it be in a wild card spot, they believe that their chance to make it to the Stanley Cup, everyone has the same chance. I can tell you that. Don't you think that they would die for a Jeff Petrie? Are you going to hold on to him? Do you think that you still have a chance to make the playoffs if you're the Canadiens? I don't get it. I know it's a sexy story. I know it's a good fairy tale miracle on ice story. But there's a reason that there's not a lot of miracles on ice. The chances of it happening, it's slim to none. Max Cossey says, pick the hometown kid, Lafreniere. Yeah, absolutely. But Cossey, do you know how you get Lafreniere? It's not just by crossing your fingers and praying to the hockey gods, praying to the phantoms of the forum. No. The way you get Lafreniere is that you sell. At the trade deadline, you sell it, and you sell it. And the Webbers, the Petries, maybe not so much Petrie because he has another few years, and I think he's a pretty valuable guy. Same for Weber. But the Tatars, the Nate Thompsons, all of these guys, I love them. But if you can get value out of them at the trade deadline, and most importantly, since they're on their last year, and at the end of the year they're in UFA, get them back at the end of the year. I think that one move that Bergevin did, I mean, if we look past the Deneau trade, which was an absolute steal, if we look past the Domi trade, which, I would say it's a steal. One very underrated move by Marc Bergevin is that he traded Plekanec to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Plekanec was on his last year, the last year of his deal. Got a few picks. Got Kirby Reichel. Got a second-round pick. And then at the end of the year, when the Toronto Maple Leafs got eliminated by the Bruins, again, talk about sounding like a broken record, what does he go and do? He gets Plekanec back. He basically got second-round pick, another pick that was a little bit further down, and Kirby Reichel, an American League player. He got all of that for lending Plekanec to the Toronto Maple Leafs for a couple of months. Maybe not, even it's a couple of weeks. Why not do the same with Tatar? I get it. You like the player. He works hard. His girlfriend is hot as shit. Holy crap, if you follow him on Instagram. Maybe she shows a little bit too much skin for my liking. Hey, I'm a good old conservative boy. But what a hot girlfriend. If you like him so much, give him up at the deadline. I can tell you, Pittsburgh, they're willing to pay their testicles to get Thomas Tartar. And then if you like him, when his deal is done at the end of the year, sign him back. Is this rocket science? I didn't need to go to Harvard to know that. Is it rocket science? Am I wrong here? Anyone in the chat, am I wrong? Anyway, so that's something I think. Cossey also says, a first plus Ryan Suzuki for Petrie. Oof. Again, if you're telling me, absolutely. if the if the whatchamacallit, if the Carolina Hurricanes come to Mark Bergevin and offer a first for Ryan Suzuki for Petrie, absolutely. More likely than not, if they are willing to get Petrie with 2 years left, and being that the teams are in the same conference, I think they're only going to give up one of them, be it a first or Ryan Suzuki, who's a first round pick, basically. Okay, I think that both of them combined, it's a little bit too much for Petrie. But why not get? Hey, imagine the Suzuki's brothers. Imagine their insane chemistry that they must have. I see a question about Kostitsyn. He played with his brother. They showed some flashes of great chemistry. Imagine having Ryan Suzuki on the Canadiens play with his brother. That insane chemistry that they might develop. The only thing that's wrong, the only fork in the knife, if I might say so myself, is that Mark Bergevin, I feel like it's looking more and more that he's not going to be a seller. It's just a feeling I get. But I think that he's stupid enough that he thinks that the Canadiens have a chance to make it to the playoffs. And he's not going to sell anything. And he's basically going to lose everyone for nothing. Kovalchik, you could get something out of him. Maybe it's going to be a fourth or third pick. But what's better, getting a third pick or losing him for nothing? Tartar, if you don't give him up at the deadline and he ends up signing with another team, what is that? Oh, come on. Come on. It makes sense, Areem says, it makes sense to trade Tartar. We give him a chance to win a cup. If he really loved playing here, he will re-sign here. Exactly. And I just said that. Hey, but look, Areem, great minds think alike, okay? If he really loves the Montreal experience, he's going to sign here after he gets traded with the Penguins. And if he doesn't, what's the use of keeping him for a couple of months? Again, as much as I want it, I feel like a broken record. The Canadiens are not going to make the playoffs. I said it. If the Canadiens make the playoffs, I'm eating my shorts. Because that is not happening. It really isn't. I like these award things. Selke Trophy, the best defensive forward. I know a lot of you put Danault in that category. And I always said it. I think his defense is superb. It's pristine. It's squeaky clean. Someone took his defensive game and sprayed some Mr. Clean on it. Very clean defense. And I think his offense, it's great. No, sorry. It's good. It's not great. If you look at the past winners, be it the Kopitars, the Rileys, the Datsuk back when he was playing, the Bergerons, not only was their defense squeaky clean, but they put up insane amount of points. O'Reilly last year was a point per game. Kopitar, I think he was in the 90s, 90-something points when he won a couple years back. And what a dumb announcement. Did you see it at the NHL Awards? They had like some magician like do this card trick. And at the end, the cards were supposed to make up a picture of Kopitar, but it just completely got botched. Anyway, so while I do think that Danault, in the future, he might be a candidate, right now, he's not putting up enough points. Unfortunately, because I absolutely like the guy. I kind of like Danault because I find he doesn't look like a hockey player. He looks like someone who might play guitar bass and like a crummy dive bar or something. But yeah, for the Selke, number 1, wow, believe it or not, they give it to Couturier. Number 2 is Bergeron. Number 3 is O'Reilly. So there you go. The Quebecers, they play great defense apparently. Calder Trophy, I know a lot of people want to Nick Suzuki, me included, but I think if you look at the 3 that they nominated, number 1 be it Makar, number 2 is Quinn Hughes, and number 3 is Olofsson. I don't think I can argue with any of those. As good as a season that he's having, Nick Suzuki, and I think that right now, if you look at the Canadiens prospects that are currently on the team, so I repeat, on the team currently, forget about the Caulfields and the Romanovs, I think that the most promising one, this season at least, it's Nick Suzuki. All right. Again, if you guys want to join the Discord, just a shit talk or post about hockey, talk about hockey. Make sure to follow the link in the description. Otherwise, guys, I think I might end this one a little bit earlier. I have a lot of packing to do. I have a little bit of work to do, so I think I might end it right here, guys. But I do appreciate you guys coming out. I know Sunday it's not always obvious for you guys, but whether it be Max, Areem, Cordell, Shazam, Jordan Cannell, I appreciate all of you guys coming out. Sorry I have to cut a little bit short, but it's for the sake of packing and stuff. Again, condolences go out to Kobe Bryant, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If you like this type of content, okay, I'm doing my best to grow this channel. I need your help, guys. Make sure you share it on Twitter. Make sure you share it on Facebook. Tell all of your friends about it. Tell your friends' friends. And make your friends tell your friends, their friends, their friends, their friends about it. Okay? Make sure to tell everyone. Make sure to follow me at Twitter at the Sinbin1996. Or if you guys have any in-depth question you want me to answer, make sure to contact me in Gmail. And again, if you guys ever want to contact the show or call in now, make sure to follow the link in the description on Discord. And you can join the chat there. So with all that being said, thank you guys for coming out here. This was the Habsnation Podcast, episode 10 for January 26th, 2020. And my name is Mott.